Personal prayer is an essential way to encounter Jesus and deepen our relationship with Him. And it's where we can hear His voice and be guided by the Holy Spirit as we seek to respond to His call to become all that God has made us to be, and in the process to know His peace. Personal prayer is the way we hear Jesus' call to drop our net for a catch and a pathway for great blessings in return. And so, as a continuation of the witness talks that we had last fall, we've invited our Assistant Director of Faith Formation, Colleen Larose, to share with us what blessings have come to her as a result of quiet personal prayer and her openness to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Welcome, Colleen.
Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. And to the one who knocks, the door will be opened. I grew up the fourth of 9 children. My mother was and still is a good and devout Catholic. She had the task of raising myself and my 8 siblings in the faith. We attended Mass faithfully every Sunday, CCD classes weekly, and received our sacraments. My father, who was raised Lutheran, knelt at night with us as we said our prayers before going to bed. It was a loving home where our faith was witnessed daily. 4.5 years ago, as I was approaching my 50th birthday, my husband and I had recently become empty nesters. The both of us had just begun new jobs, Don working and commuting from Birmingham, Alabama, and I working in the religious education department here at Holy Family. With Don's new job requiring him to be away from home more, our home seemed so quiet, and my thoughts soon became filled with anxiety. Anxiety about where the next phase of my life was going to lead me. No longer was my role, my mission, my purpose as clearly defined as it had been previously during the years while we were raising our children. Soon my anxieties began turning into worries, and these worries were starting to affect my ability to sleep well. It was right about then when a good friend said to me that I should try offering up all of these concerns to God and handing it over to Him in prayer, and so I did. I began attending daily Mass and spending more time in quiet prayer, time that I intentionally carved out of my day, with additional silent time spent in the chapel each Friday before the Blessed Sacrament. It was there that I began to realize that what I was yearning for was a deeper and more trusting relationship with Jesus. I began praying the words of St. Therese, asking Jesus to simplify my life by learning what He wants me to be and striving to become that person. Then one evening, not long after, I couldn't sleep and started thinking about a beautiful abbey that my husband and I had passed by years ago while traveling through the mountains along the west coast of Ireland. During that trip, we'd driven by the abbey and were awestruck by its natural beauty and surroundings. So much so that I didn't even remember the abbey's name, just that it appeared to be a tranquil place of incredible beauty. I began researching abbeys in Ireland and came across a familiar picture of Kylemore Abbey, while recognizing that it was the same abbey that Don and I had seen in our trip there. I also had learned that a community of Benedictine nuns lived in the abbey, and that their livelihood was making soap and chocolate and selling it to the many tourists that visited there. The more I learned about Kylemore, the Benedictine way of life, and about their motto of ora e labora, which means pray and work, the more intrigued I became. I also learned that Benedictines live very disciplined lives, following the rule of St. Benedict, a rule that guides their community in living a simple, attentive, peaceful, and joyfully trusting way, all while keeping Jesus Christ as their primary focus. Despite my reserved nature, I felt compelled to contact the head of the abbey, the abbess, that night and propose a question to her. Would she allow me to come and work for 2 weeks in the summer in exchange for room and board? I figured most likely that nothing would come from my proposal, but shortly thereafter I was pleasantly surprised when I was contacted by Mother Mora with a positive response of yes, she would gladly open her door and welcome me in. Thinking back on it all, I have no doubt that it was an answer to my prayer and that it was the Holy Spirit inspiring me to act so boldly. In my first trip to Kylemore, I was really quite nervous. I'd never traveled internationally by myself before, nor did I know exactly how nuns in an abbey such as this lived their daily lives. During the time that I have spent at Kylemore over the past 4 years, I have learned a great many things about embracing the quiet, listening more attentively, and simplifying my life. I have since completed a 2-year program of study and have become a Benedictine Oblate. A Benedictine Oblate is a single, or in my case, a married layperson who formally has dedicated themselves to the service of God. I believe that through prayer, God has inspired me to undergo a transformation, and that through the experience of praying and working with the nuns and incorporating the Benedictine daily rhythm of prayer and work into my life, that I now am able to keep a more peaceful balance, a balance which is no longer preoccupied with worry or anxiety about what the future holds, but rather having a greater trust in God's plan for me, which now gives me a greater sense of purpose and peace in both my personal and professional life. God may not necessarily inspire you to respond in the same way that he has inspired me, but it may be the case that Jesus is calling you to grip his outstretched hand for support, to live more deeply in relationship with him, and asking you to step outside of your comfort zone in order to enter into that deeper relationship. I asked, and it was given to me. I sought, and I found. I knocked, and the door was opened. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen, for sharing your inspiring story with us. You stepped out in faith as a response to the call of Jesus for a deeper and more trusting relationship with him, and it has certainly borne fruit for you in many, many ways. My friends, in this Lenten season, Jesus invites you and me to encounter him regularly in daily, quiet, personal prayer, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, as Pope Francis has recommended recently. We can do what Colleen did, hand over to Jesus all of our concerns, and then be attentive to his voice and the inclinations, the inspirations, and the opportunities that spring from your encounter with Jesus in prayer. So drop your net, step outside your comfort zone, and follow Jesus' lead. And as you do, you'll find a fullness of life Jesus wants you to enjoy as you become all that he has made you to be.